We're learning FlexBox, and you could take this entire training at Greater Commons. Right here, how to create a website, an HTML tutorial, and CSS tutorial, and all the codes there. And so for FlexBox, the first thing you need to know is we go to CSS FlexBox tricks, and complete guide to FlexBox CSS tricks. That's the definitive guide. When you go there, first thing you want to know, and this is again just a review, is there's a container and there are items. Container and items. And so we need to use display flex to make a flex container. And what that looks like is I'll do main, and then over here in my CSS I'll do main display flex. So this is now a flex container. Any immediate direct children will be flex items. Okay, so we could set any of these properties on the container, and the properties are the ones on the left side here. And we could set any of these properties on the items, the children, and these are on the right side here. The container can also be known as the parent, and the items, flex items, can also be known as the children. So that's the first thing you need to know, is you need to make your flex container. So we've got our flex container. Now we can start setting properties on our flex container. So first I'm just going to style my div. And so for my div, I'm going to do a width, 100 pixels, and a height, 100 pixels. And then we'll do a border 1 pix solid black, and we'll do a background color tomato, and we'll do a border radius of 50, 100%. Cool. So if we look at this now, there's our little circle. So we want to put our circle somewhere else. And I'm actually just going to create triple circles. So now we have 3 circles. I'll put a little margin between them all. Margin 10 pixels, just to set them off. And I'll do a bit of a reset. So my reset will be for HTML body div, HTML body main div. I'm just going to say that content padding is 0, border is 0, margin is 0, and box sizing border box. And so box sizing border box is says as the padding and the border change in size, don't change the size of the element, so the element will always be 100 width and height. So now we look at that, just shifted things in a little bit. I'm going to put a border around main so we can see where main is. There's main. And now I'm going to change the height of main to 100 viewport height. So now it's taking up the full page. See that? And I'll just back this off to like 3 pixels now, just so it's a little thin border. And then the next thing I want to do is I want to start moving those things around. So we have in main, it's display flex, and we can start using the flex properties. So the initial things you need to know is that there's flex direction. What's the default flex direction? It's row. There's also flex wrap. What's the default flex wrap? It's no wrap. Okay. We could also do that with a shorthand of just flex, which would be row, no wrap. So we could also do it that way. Maybe I did it wrong. Maybe it's no wrap row, no wrap row. Let's go see. It's flex flow, sorry. Flex direction, flex wrap, flex flow, flex direction, flex wrap. So flex flow is flex direction, row, no wrap. There we go. So we could also do it that way. That's just a shorthand notation for the 2 above. So that's what that is. So we have flex direction row, and we have no wrap. I'm going to put some numbers here. And I want those numbers to be centered in my circle, so guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to make this a flex. I'll do this in a second. I don't want to throw anything at you that confuses you. I want to build up to it. So there are the 1, 2, 3s. And I'll just use text align center to get those kind of into my circles. Okay? So I could change, instead of flex direction row, I could say column. And just made it a column. I'm going to keep it in row. This is what determines the primary axis, is flex direction. Over here we have, we've seen flex direction, flex row. We have justify content. Justify content operates on the primary axes. The main axes, justify content. The main axis is row. So justify content is going to work on the row. So if I center on the row, brings it out over here. If I do flex end, brings it out there. If I do flex start, brings it right there. If this was a column, flex direction sets the main axes, the primary axes. Flex start on a column is right there. Flex end on a column is right there. Flex center on a column is right there. So justify content always operates on the main axes. The main axis is determined by flex direction. The main axis right now is column. Justify content is centering on the column. I'm going to go back to row. So now it's going to be centered on the row. And then there's align items. Align items works on the cross axes. If the primary axis is row, right? Justify content's going to operate on the row. The cross axis is going to be column. So column cross axes, maybe I want to do flex end on the column, right? This is the cross axis. The main axis is row, cross axis is column. Flex end will be at the end of the column down here. Okay? So if I want to put this in the bottom right corner, I say justify content flex end. Means on the row it's going to put it on the end, and it's the row because this is that. Flex direction row, row's main axis. Justify content works on the main axes. And then for the column, align items works on the cross axis, which is the column. So column, it's going to be flex in there. So when I refresh this, it puts it right there, bottom right corner. So that's kind of where we got Tuesday. Salvador, that makes sense? How many people got that solution? 1, 2, a CSE. Okay. So now for the final part of it, I said I don't want to confuse you. I'm going to take out align center. I'm going to make my div a flex container. The child is the text. Text is actually a node in the DOM, the document object model. And I'm going to say flex direction is row. Flex wrap is no wrap. And I'm going to do justify content center, so it'll center across the horizontal, because that works on the primary axis, which is row. I'm going to do align items center, and that will center on the vertical, and it's going to put that number in the middle of my div. And I'll make that number a little bit bigger. Font will go 2rem sans serif. If I wanted this in the center of the page, my ball's in the center of the page, flex direction row, I'll just move these both to center, right? And the container, remember, is the big red box, the main box, which is taking up the entire viewport window. Cool, that's the first exercise.